welcome back, you Tamiya enthusiasts. Because, I mean, to be honest, who here is watching this update to see if there's a flaw that they're hoping for with Tamiya? To be honest, it's really hard to find one with this kit. But want to give you a little bit of an update before I get too far ahead, because things just kind of go together so easy, and before I find myself, I'm like, oh, I should probably give an update. I'm pretty far. So let's talk a little bit about some of my findings, some of the things that can help you with your potential buying decision with it and your planning stage, right? So I have started to put on just my Mr. Surfacer 1500 as primer to just look for problems. There's a few pieces that I might have to do a few things with, but otherwise. And then I've got the bottom painted. I need to do some touch-ups. There's some parts that was a little bit tricky. I was trying to do Tamiya's new LP line for this bottom. And then also I was using a little bit of Mr. Color and playing around with those a little bit. And I really kind of not sure which one I like more, but I think the coverage with the Tamiya is a little better. But maybe, I don't know, I'm going back and forth, and I've been playing around with the bottom and trying to do a little bit more accenting, and I'm going to do some more weathering with this too. But that's where that is, just good old insignia white, nothing too special. Put that there. Alright. Now when it comes to the other progresses, one of the biggest things that was giving me heartburn with this is the decals, right? Tamiya has been very hit and miss with decals. Well, I'm pleased to announce these actually worked out pretty well. Not worried at all. There's a few things obviously there with touch-up. The other side has had less coats of Solvaset that I was using, and I need to do some more. And maybe try the Mark Fit Strong. See if I can get in some of the recesses, but this one has just recently been applied, so it needs a little bit more work to get where I'm wanting. But the decal, I was pretty surprised. I was worried it was just going to be like horrible, and you know, as a acid test, which also is just my laziness, I didn't put this over a gloss or anything. This was just standard Tamiya LP or maybe Mr. Color. But you can see where there's the difference, right? It's very much a flat coat, but it's a smooth flat coat. And it went on perfectly fine. And I'm curious, once I put in like a flat coat over that, that lip there is probably going to disappear. It looks pretty good. So very pleased with the decals so far on it. That was one of the things where I'm like, am I going to need to do some decals? No. So the next challenge we got into is the Canopy. So with the Tamiya, you can see there's a line on there, right? So what I did was first playing around with using a glass file. And at first, it was working really, really well. And I was just stunned. Like, it's going to make this so easy. Let's see if I can show you. So you can kind of see there, it does really well at polishing and removing that seam line, but it makes it weird where that piece is a little thicker and it just looks funky is just the right word, I guess. So I banded that. Went for the tried true method. So I started out with my standing sticks here. Gotta put this in order for anal reasons here. So actually no, I started with 1500 grit, and I just sanded that down like so. You know, I'm just gonna do a sample for you a little bit, but sanding there. And then progressively going to the 2500 grit. And you get the gist, right? And then, of course, going to the 4000 grit was the final step there. From that point, of course, it's not good enough. Some people just lap some floor polish on it and hope for the best. But what I did, grabbed Tamiya compound, so there's 3 of these, and so I've went through the full system. The Novus polish works really well for this too, and so I just polished that in and it was really good. But then when I got to the final step, I polished it with my Dremel stylo here with a cotton pad and just buffed it down. This you can adjust the speed. I put it to just the 3 and no more than that, and polished it down, and yeah, there's the end results with them. So there's not really any evidence that there was ever a seam. So I'm very pleased with how those turned out. And so there's that. The other thing that took a little bit of time, so there's some seams on here where they aren't real in the real life. I can show you some links to some of the schematics for it, but there's a seam that goes along there on the actual kit. And so just wasn't really bad. It wasn't like there's just a big gap I had to fill or anything. It was just some sanding and all that. And if I had some paint on it, it looks pretty good. Not much of a remnant of a ghost seam or whatever, but need to do a little bit with that part just to make it perfect. So you wouldn't even know that there was something there, right? So there's that, and then the other side, same thing. So you put that in, and I also need to look at where the decal goes over it, because the decal just might even hide that technically a little bit, and I might not have to do as much work because it's a decal going over and not a actual paint that can be, really, really thin. So that's where we're at. Next, I'm going to fill up a few little goofs. So I need to go in right in here, fill in that, and then fix a few little scratches. I'm trying to see, goofed a little bit in here, and there's same on this side. So need to sand that down. Got some wing roots here that's showing, right? Need to get those nice and polished in, and so we got that working nice and beautiful and looking perfect. Once that happens, then I'm going to paint the bugger, and then the next video I'm going to show you I'm coming back with more of weathering and things like that. So there'll be a lot of stages to the weathering, and that's most of what I want to do from this build series, is just show you how I'm going to weather this, because it was at war. This particular Sundowner was repainted, so some stencils are just gone basically on it, and it's fairly pristine, but that doesn't mean I'm presenting it as it's just first day in deployment. I want to put it as close to the end. Some of the photos that I've seen, more of where there's been some obvious touch-ups. So I'll be working with that. So until next time, but look for me live. I will be presenting the IPMS Boise show on Saturday. So look for upcoming live on that, where I'll be just broadcasting live. If you have any shout outs or questions or anything like that, feel free. First time trying live, so it'd be interesting to try that feature out. But I'll show you what we have over at the Boise IPMS show. Till then.